Now, I'm not Catholic, but I take communion in my church. How is that different than what happens in the Catholic Church?
The significant difference between taking communion in a church that is not Catholic and receiving communion in the Catholic Church probably all boils down to what Catholics would refer to as the real presence. So Catholics believe that during our Mass, particularly during the Eucharistic prayer, when the bread and wine are blessed and consecrated, that the substance of that bread and wine is actually and truly changed into the body and blood, what we would call the soul and the divinity of Jesus Christ. It is not a symbol of Christ, and that's probably the most significant difference. It is not a symbol. It is the real presence of Jesus Christ, even though it still has that appearance of bread and wine. So actually, everything I just talked about comes down to one big fancy word that we use in the church. It's transubstantiation. So if you really want to learn more, you could go and Google that word and see what you can find in the Catholic context of what transubstantiation is all about. And of course, I'm sure there'd be someone at your parish who would be very happy to talk to you about it. The fullness of that real presence is in the form of what we call Holy Communion, the host and the precious blood. And that presence exists even beyond the Mass. So that's why Catholics reserve communion in our tabernacles, and it's why we also continue the ancient tradition of bringing Holy Communion to people who cannot come to Mass, those who are sick or might be aging and cannot come to the Mass itself. The real presence is what makes the sacrament of Eucharist the most important of all of our sacraments. That Sunday celebration, week after week, is the source and summit of our lives in Christ. It's where we come to be fed and to be nourished, so that then we can go out and actually live our lives as Christians. And all that comes together week after week in that celebration of the Sunday Eucharist with the real presence of Jesus Christ.